Welcome back to This Week in 23 Sports. And Ben, Tiger fans were riled up this week by an article written by Jeremy Daly of redandblack.com, which is an independent student newspaper at the University of Georgia. The title, and I quote, was, "Classless Tigers have no place in the SEC." Now, we've talked a lot about whether the Tigers should conform to the dress code of the SEC and the culture that the conference entails. Ben, I turn it to you. What is your opinion on this whole situation?
Oh, man. There have been few times where I've been as upset as when I was reading that article. I'll just start from the top with what this guy says. He says that Mizzou fans had a sense of quiet cockiness that came about when they were overly polite. Quiet cockiness? You're supposed to be proud of your team. You're supposed to think your team is better than the other team. That's what sports and that's what football is about.
Wouldn't you rather have a quiet cockiness than a boisterous cockiness like half the schools in the SEC do?
Definitely.
Honestly, I mean, I feel like Georgia fans, if you were a Georgia fan, to be completely honest, and you came into that game fully expecting Georgia to win and you're going to boast about it, I mean, I thought you were dead wrong because obviously this was going to be a tough game no matter what. And I ran into plenty of Georgia people who said that Missouri didn't stand a chance. You know, some of them were courteous, and I met a lot of good fans. But if you're going to act like that some schools aren't going to have bad fans and you're not going to run into, you know, a bad patch here or there, you're being unrealistic.
One bad apple doesn't spoil the whole bunch.
That's a great analogy.
Anyways, the second point he made is that Mizzou's spread offense is going to get pounded week in and week out. Mizzou put up 370 yards against this vaunted Georgia defense. Granted, they were missing several defensive starters, I'll give them that. But needless to say, 370 yards is not getting pounded offensively.
Right. Getting pounded is if the first 3 quarters wouldn't have even been a contest. And it was a contest. And, you know, like we said earlier, this Missouri team got worn down in the 4th quarter. We fully understand that. And the final score was a 3-touchdown scoreline. It wasn't that lopsided if you actually watched the game. That's a good concept, actually watching the game, which I question if this guy even did. Absolutely ridiculous. To say, I mean, I understand what he's saying in that the spread offense is more of a finesse type of football, and the SEC is not about that at all. It's about running the ball, hard run defense, and hard hitting. But I just didn't see that. I thought Missouri got their hits in. I thought they were being physical for at least 3 quarters. And, I mean, for your first conference game, I mean, I think I could give them a C+, a B. I mean, they have their areas to improve in, but I would definitely not say they got pushed around.
Yeah, I would say that Mizzou definitely showed that they're not going to be the little brother that all the SEC teams can pick on, that's for sure.
And, I mean, I have to go back to this whole cockiness thing. If there's one thing I underestimated about the SEC, it is the level of arrogance. And I'm telling you what, you are in a conference, okay? We are all individual institutions of this conference. I do not walk around and say to people, I go to an SEC school, so I'm better than you. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. First of all, great, you won 6 national titles past 6 years. Full respect for that. I'm a football fan. I know how hard it is to do that. But that doesn't define your school. If you dropped out of Alabama after sophomore year and you're still going to brag about it, cool, dude. Awesome. I don't really know what else to say about it. I mean, I've never seen a group of people take it that seriously. You know, there's a certain level of cockiness I'll give you if we're going to talk football, but past that, I'm done. I don't need to hear any more about it.
Yeah. And stepping outside of actual football play, third thing this guy mentioned was the dress code that Mizzou fans adorned for the game.
Okay.
He was upset that a lot of Mizzou fans showed up in jeans and yellow T-shirts. Well, I looked up some photos of the Georgia student section, and a lot of them were wearing the exact same thing that a lot of Missouri fans were wearing on Saturday.
So, I mean, is it a business meeting? Is that what a football game is now?
It's not.
Because I've been a Ravens season ticket holder since I've been 4 years old, and I'll tell you the same thing I wore to every single game. Wore my Ray Lewis jersey, T-shirt under it, pair of jeans, or a pair of shorts. I never wore a collared shirt or anything. Football, it's supposed to be fun. You know, I'm not saying dressing up isn't fun. I mean, I wore a bow tie on Saturday, for goodness sakes, for like the first time in my life. Go figure. But it was a lot of fun, but it's a casual affair. This isn't, you know, I'm not meeting the CEO of CNN or anything. I'm just going to a football game to enjoy myself. You want to dress up? Good for you. You know, I'm not going to hate on you for it, but don't hate on me if I'm coming in my black and gold T-shirt. That's all I ask for.
And then he went on and started to nitpick a little bit. He complained about Missouri's chant, M-I-Z-Z-O-U.
That's where it hurts.
I was unaware that you needed multiple chants and battle cries to be in the SEC. I didn't know that's what constituted playing SEC football.
I mean, how many more things can this guy pick out? He literally sounds like, he just sounds like a baby.
There's
honestly.
more.
I just sat, you know, this sounds like I just sat on my bed and cried for about 2 hours, went through 3 boxes of Kleenex, and typed what came to my mind. That's what I thought when I read this thing. And that's a perfect example. M-I-Z-Z-O-U that's this school. I mean, that no other school in the country is even close to that chant, and we're proud of it, so we say it a lot. You know, you got to get over that.
Yep.
It's like telling the Eagles fans to stop singing Fly, Eagles Fly, or telling the Redskins fans to stop singing Hail to the Redskins. Absolutely ridiculous comment with no merit whatsoever.
And then he said once the game started that all the Missouri fans that were overly polite before the game got rid of all their politeness and were very, very classless. There have been multiple reports of Georgia fans that were sitting in Faurot Field throwing trash towards the end of the game, as well as reports of Georgia fans urinating on the columns, which is a landmark for the city of Columbia. And he's talking about classless?
I didn't even know that. And to be completely honest, when you come into a football stadium as an opposing fan, you should expect an atmosphere that is hostile. That's what makes playing on the road so tough. When anybody travels to Lane Stadium in Blacksburg, when UVA comes there, big-time rivalry, guess what? They're not rolling out the welcome mat for them. Baton Rouge is not rolling out the welcome mat for A.J. McCarron and the Alabama Crimson Tide. It's hostile. I'm not saying you got to throw things at people or treat fans with no courtesy, but there's a certain level where it's like, dude, I'm not your buddy. You're an opposing fan. You're here to root for your team. I'm here to root for mine. As long as we have that level of respect for each other, I don't need anything else. I don't need to go get you a drink or something like that.
Completely agree. And finally, he decided to say right at the very end that all the Missouri fans left when it was about 24-20 in the fourth quarter. Having been there myself, I can say with great certainty that a lot of Missouri fans did not leave until it was 41-20 with just a couple minutes left to play, which is very understandable if you're losing by 3 touchdowns. No one really wants to watch their team get beat in the final 2 or 3 minutes.
I had the privilege to cover this game. I was on the field, and I was amazed by the atmosphere, the amount of students that stayed. I was talking to a few photographers and other people filming for other stations that said, you know, wow, these fans have really stayed for it. But, you know, I got to criticize Mizzou a little bit and the students. I think Mizzou has been way too lenient and has tried way too hard to fit in from day one. Those stupid shirts in the bookstore. Great to meet you. Very nice. Are you kidding me? Seriously? It's an opponent. This isn't your brother coming in for a wedding. This is an opponent. This is someone who's going to try and come in and pummel you from the first minute of the game to the last second on the clock. Absolutely ridiculous. Why do you have to make that shirt? It's not even that. And why do we feel the need to change our culture? This is a very proud university established in 1839, the top journalism school in the country, one of the top business schools in the country. And personally, being from Virginia and coming here, I've never been more proud to be a part of any institution than I am at the University of Missouri. Don't feel the need to change your ways for a conference that has its head way too high out of the water and needs to chill out a little bit.
Yeah, you know, I completely agree with a lot of what you said. I don't think Missouri has to change a single thing. I think the Missouri fans should still go to football games in jeans and a t-shirt. I think they should still talk a little bit of trash to the opposing fans. I don't think they should throw trash. I'm not condoning that. But
I mean, we are the new guy. Like, I understand that, you know, so a little bit of courtesy, you know, it's nice to be in this conference, but this is not a stroke of some divine being that we're in this conference. We were invited to be in this conference. Huge difference, absolutely huge difference that people need to be made aware of. That, you know, being in the Big 12 was, I mean, I didn't like the Big 12, but it was still a pretty big conference. If we were in the Big 10, still a pretty big conference. So we just need to tone it down. You know, no more SEC chant. No, we know we're in that conference. Done. We don't need it anymore.
The bottom line is Missouri deserves to be in the SEC, and they're there now, so they might as well start acting like it and not conforming to what they think it should be like.
Absolutely. Well, I think we've rambled on enough about how ticked off we are about this whole situation. We thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to check out mutv.missouri.edu to check out all of our shows, including Triple Play, the best game show on campus with Walt Scher and Warren Sales, as well as Tailgears, which goes into all the professional sports with Andrew Kaufman and Creighton Hayes.